What's up, YouTube, and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun, and this is the Infinite Library bi-weekly podcast, the last one of 2020. We also have a time traveler from the future who will be telling us about Epic 7 in 2021. But in normal fashion, I will introduce the people that are with me. To my whatever direction this is on the screen is Syllara, the best Assassin Sid main, or not Assassin Sid, Assassin Cartusia main in the game. This man loves Assassin Cartusia. Ascart is his absolute favorite unit in the game and has probably the best one I have ever seen. In the bottom corner down here, hitting that mad vape, is the washed up Platypi. I wanted to make sure that he coughed in the middle of that. That was why I did that. He streams. Do you do YouTube as well, Platty?
I do have a YouTube. I
do have a YouTube.
Even less frequent than I stream. It's like once every 3 months.
Fair. Fantastic. And then right below me is YakuzaTTV, ML Rice Gum, coming to us from the future, as you can see there in the background with the sick Wendy's collab wall scroll there. Thank you guys for coming on and joining me on New Year's Eve. I actually completely forgot that today was New Year's Eve, and Deity with the big raid, by the way. Thank you, Deity. Did not remember, and then people were like, wait, you're doing a podcast on New Year's Eve? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's Thursday, right? But we'll jump into the questions because we're going to probably be talking quite a bit about some of these. But first question is going to be the limited rerun units and PvP. Now, something that we kind of expected to get right was diene for Christmas. Also kind of expected to get, another limited. Obviously, we did with Wonderland Tenebria. But my thought process was that they would run both of them side by side, giving people, that option to get diene. And one of the implications here is that diene is still kind of important in PvP. She's still one of the more drafted healers, buffers, things along those lines. And not having her, if they never rerun this limited, or like, let's say they don't set a precedence here and we never know if diene is coming back, the implications that's going to have on newer players. Now, Syllara, what's your take on this?
Hey guys, just wanted to shout out to, I forgot who I'm gonna shout out to. Shout out to my guild. Life is recruiting top RTA players.
Yo, they're replacing me. What the fuck?
Yeah, but back to the topic. So we have a lot of limited unit. I think it's once per season, right? Usually once per season? And then the last year we had diene around this time, and this year, I guess since so many people wanted to see the ML Tenebria, they had to shove it into the event. And I think they just don't want people to having to choose between diene or the new Tenebria, Fairy Tale Tenebria. So they're only releasing the Fairy Tale Tenebria, and I don't think it will really hurt people's ability to compete in PvP, because if you guys been playing RTA lately, you hardly see diene anywhere. I feel like she's slowly phasing out, and her position is replaceable by a lot of new units like the specialty change Doris, and a lot of people has been picking Doris, and because of how fast paced the game has been lately, I think healer are not as relevant as before. That's just my thought.
That's fair. Platty, what's your take on it?
I think so for me personally, I thought that the Tenebria was going to be a skin, and I don't know if that was their original intention. So potentially maybe diene was supposed to rerun, and then they decided, hey, we're going to turn this skin concept into a new limited unit instead. I kind of agree. I don't think having two simultaneous limited banners at the same time would be good for newer players, because then you'd get the newer players that really want to focus PvP later on be like, oh, I don't know about Fairy Tail Tenebria, but diene has been kind of good in the past. Or do I get Fairy Tail Tenebria since she's new and we don't know when that's going to be rerun, and skip out on diene? So I think it would put newer players, especially those who are like free to play or don't want to spend, it would put them in kind of a predicament where they wouldn't know which one would be right for their account. I do also kind of agree. I think Soul Weavers right now in the meta are pretty, not troll, but like it's really hard to draft them without just dying. I feel like speed is king right now, and taking the first turn and then capitalizing on that first turn by either killing off a unit or just gap gaming, being like drafting heavy DPS, cleaving. It's super relevant right now just to be able to take that first turn. And diene doesn't really offer as much as she used to in the past, especially with the frenzy changes.
Fair, yeah. Yakuza.
All right, so first, Shogun, thank you for letting us, in the podcast. I appreciate it. Much love, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So this is a bit of a loaded question for me. Obviously, all of us here have been playing the game for a really long time. I think there's two types of new players per se, right? There's the collectors, there's the free to play, and then obviously, I guess three whales. This next year is gonna be really hard. There's a lot of banners they need to rerun, right? Like the Guilty Gear collab, the new collab that's coming out, Cerise. So I think it's going to be hard to like squeeze that all into this year, but at the same time, completely just skipping the banner. I think, sure, it's not that great for free to play players, right? But the collectors, the whales, I think they would much rather prefer it, especially new players that don't have those units. So just skipping it completely, I don't know how to feel about that. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll have to see if they actually do skip or not. We don't really know. It's not confirmed yet, but they are kind of dodging the question from what I've seen recently. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of problems for new players right now, I think. And I mean, I'm sure chat knows Lakari. I've been talking to him a while. He just started playing Epic 7, huge variety streamer, and he gave me a bunch of things that he has a problem with when it comes to Epic 7. If later on in the podcast, if we can talk about that as well, just new players absolutely. Overall and what they could do. I'd definitely like to get into that. But yeah, I mean, as for in RTA, diene, I think she's okay. I don't draft her, but I do use her in my arena auto comp. So, I mean, if you want to run arena auto with Landy, I think she's really good for that. So she still kind of has a place in the game, just not as much in RTA.
Yeah. I use mine in Guild Wars. I use mine. I don't actually do bot arena, so I don't really worry about that. I do personally draft mine a little bit in RTA, typically with like Adventurer Ross. That way I am just like a soul generating engine, and then after a little while you just double up on the S2s nonstop because of that. I think the bigger implication here is that if they only do 2 runs of a limited unit, and like we just don't see another diene come through, I think that the problem is like, okay, let's even say it's not diene, right? What about take that is ridiculous that you have a that's crazy, Yakuza.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I was just distracted by you with your
hand sanitizer.
Chat keeps saying it's hand sanitizer. It's whiskey. I don't wear this. Okay, dude.
But so what about if they just go 2 and done? What about SSB? I mean, SSB doesn't get is kind of falling off a little bit, but SSB is still super strong, right? Sure, maybe DN's not strong right this second, but we see the meta shift semi-regularly, right? I think the frenzy changes are what really pushed the shift this time around. But you see things kind of move in and out as new units come out, things along those lines. And from a collector standpoint, I mean, I'm, a big collector. I pull units that I have literally no intention of building ever, just because I'm a collector. I think that the not rerunning limited units or putting them into like Covenant or something along those lines, if you're a person starting right now, you're never going to get that unit. Now you might be able to say, well, GG, maybe you should have started playing 2 years ago, scrub, instead of today, but not everybody finds it at the same time. So I think that having, like, if they run, since we know that we get one like every season, right, just put all of the banners out. Now the thing here is that, like, your newer player, right, they could go, do I want to risk it on Wonderland Tenebria that has never been tested, never been played, but looks really cool? Or do I want to go with a tried true character that has had 2 years of play testing? I know exactly what it's going to do. This is a character that I need in my kit. I think that's the big thing for rerunning those limited units. I personally hate limited units in general, but yeah.
So like the thing
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Should we just go in order?
Oh no, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think one of the things is I don't think diene is that new player friendly either way. Maybe later on they'll give people the option to pick up diene, but she needs that 5-star artifact, the Rod of Amaryllis, right?
Yeah.
And not all the new players is able to pull that artifact. And not only that, the amount of stats you need to run a proper diene is kind of insane. You need her to be fast, you need her to have resistance, and you need her to be also pretty tanky in order for her to be functional in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking maybe later on they can introduce the limited unit together, like what Shogun has said. I think that would make a lot of sense. Let people choose how to fill up the roster, so they can be more competitive in the PvP setting. And I do think limited unit have their place. You don't. It makes them rare, and it's an opportunity for a company to milk all the whales, right, to get those imprints.
Right. Something chat actually brought up too on the limited rerun is the artifact, and that's probably one of the biggest things, right? Mm-hmm. If we never get a Luna rerun again, how will people get Draco plates, which is literally the only important thing on a Luna banner, and them potentially teasing another Luna buff. But that's a big thing too. Not that DN's artifact is used, but so we'll go down to you, Platty. Anything to chime in here?
Yeah, I also think so. Kind of like with what Syllara was saying. Sorry, I have a cat here.
It's okay.
I think to go along with DN, and just for new players in general too, I think like these PvP oriented limited units are kind of a trap. So for newer players, I often, like, if they ever ask questions, it's always focusing like PvE stuff, right? So if they were to choose between getting a DN versus like even Sigrid, like the Sigrid banner is out right now,
mm-hmm.
I would almost recommend that they pull for Sigrid over DN, because DN is not going to help them, right? Like, you can use her, I guess, in Hell Raid, you can technically use her in Wyvern, but you could also use Montmorency, for example, right?
Yeah.
She also fills that slot in Hell Raid, and in Wyvern you can use Angelica as a tank. There's a lot more options to cover the DN, right? So I think focusing like PvE is definitely more important for the newer players, because like it's super discouraging, right? If you hop right into PvP, you're super excited, you have your DN, you have the limited units that are like really good, but then you run into these players that have been playing longer, and they kind of just stomp you, right? And that is super demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I have the DN, I have the SSB, I have all these cool limited units, I have like the RBs, but the gear isn't there, right? So I think focusing more on farming up, getting your account to that level first is more important than just having that unit. So I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I think that's kind of another trap that a lot of new players get into, is like they want the unit and then they put themselves into a situation where they're like trying to hop into PvP way too early, and then they hop into PvP, get really demoralized. They're like, man, like all these whales have all this gear and like they're better gear than me, and then they're like, I don't want to play this game anymore. And that's kind of, I don't want to see that. I want to see the game grow. I want to see these new players, like, nurture them into the position where they feel comfortable then to play RTA, to do arena push, to like try like guild wars in a more competitive sense as well. And I think like these older limited banners can kind of, or the not older, but the reruns can kind of trap new players as well, as opposed to just kind of buckling down and focusing on the PvE concept.
Yeah, so a rebuttal to that, Platty, would be that if they don't rerun the older limited and give people that chance to pick that up, let's say after they've already gotten in, they go, you know what, hey, I'm going to pull for cigarette this time. I don't need DN right now. It doesn't fit my kit. I need this other unit. If they don't rerun DN and then that person misses that, then they're out forever. And then that's almost a bit more demoralizing, especially if you're one of those people that like, you know what, hey, I really do want DN. I'll get it back. I'll get it the next time around. I'll just wait till summer and then I'll get SSB, right? So making it so that I know every year at Christmas I have a chance at DN, and then next year I have a chance at DN or Tenebria or something like that, and then it just stacks further up. Right now that would be very overwhelming for a newer player or a mid-game player, somebody who started a little bit late. But I think that having that option there for everybody, not only that, but think about it this way too, even for the whales, right? That means an extra artifact every single year, and then you have all that time to save up like 7,000 dust. So in the 10-year plan, you just go, all right, cool, I get this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I can finally, in 2025, I can finally fully limit break this artifact. I think that is probably a solid option, and just knowing that that's the business plan would actually help out new players as well in terms of what it is that they want to pick. Yakuza, I'll give it to you, and then we'll probably move on to the next question.
You said exactly what I wanted to say, right? Having that option, because here's the thing. If you're a free-to-play player, you're gonna have to pick and choose banners. You can't roll on every banner. And I see a lot of new players fall for that trap where they, oh, maybe I can get lucky. I'll use my Sky Stones, and then they go on a banner. They don't get the unit, and then, well, your pity's gone, right? But having that option to pick and choose, I think, is better than, not having the option to. And we have to figure out, or Smilegate has to figure out what they're going to do now, because, there's a 10-year plan, right? 2 years from now, there's going to be 4 summer units.
Yep.
Right? Are they just going to stop giving out SSB banners? Are they going to do it every 2 years? We don't know. So they really have to figure that out. I don't know what they're going to do about it, because if you take into consideration like the collab units, right? They can't really stop giving out the collab units. Dizzy is so good right now in RTA. They can't just, oh, well, sorry, we're going to skip a year or two. Right. I'd be very surprised if they did. And I know there's a lot that goes into it, like IPs and all that. But, we have a new collab coming soon as well. Hopefully something good. We'll see what it is.
You're already in 2021. They said early 2021. I'm upset that you can't tell us what it is already. It has been like, a couple of hours into 2021, and they have not announced it yet.
Yeah, come on, man.
One star game.
Yeah. We'll see. 1-star game.
but yeah, and I think that the difference between like a PvE game, like an FGO versus a PvP game, is if those limited units are relevant in PvP, and Dizzy is very, very relevant and always probably will be, you can't just go, hey, if you didn't play in the first 2 years and get it, then sucks to suck, you know, because that's going to just hard gatekeep like a lot of people, right? And they're going to go, but I want that unit. So then their options are to break TOS and purchase an account, or just be a Dizzy lit forever.
And I'm gonna go back to what Platy was saying. So he was talking about new players in like Arena, and then you know, running into super strong players, and then kind of getting overwhelmed by it, and then leaving the game. That's something that Lakari actually told me to talk about here.
Okay.
He might be in chat too, by the way. He said, and I quote, right? In PvP Arena, there's a lot, and I mean a shitload of like old accounts and players that will like bully the shit out of me, is what he said, right? And he's running into people that, challenger champion level players in bronze, because they just decay down, right?
Yeah.
Or I think he's in silver now. But I think that's a big problem. I think, since there's no RTA for new players, right? The PvP content that they're exposed to is Arena. And if they're, going in with their level 40, level 50 units into full level 60 FCC, A Taiwan teams,
Right.
I think that could be a bit discouraging. And so I think that's something they also have to fix.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
glad you
I
brought
think
that up.
something I've seen some people mention is like, if you have not logged in X days, you just don't show up. Like, you decay all the way down to bronze, you just don't show up anymore. And I think that would probably help out a lot. The only other thing that you would have to watch out for is just the people that just log in for their rewards and then log out. But yeah, I think that would help out. If you're not an active account, you shouldn't show up in bot arena. But we are going to move on to the next question now that we are done with limited reruns, and this is going to be more RTA focused. Rotating seasonal frenzy changes. Now, we had just the increased damage and reduced HP, right? The damage was really good for knights because, well, you could just tank it out forever, and then by the time you got to later, HP scaling was insane and you just did piles of damage. This season, though, they changed it so that it's just attack, and now you have the HP, plus you have the effectiveness, which is really, really huge and shifted a lot of stuff, making games a lot faster. What would you guys think of a rotating frenzy mechanic? So let's say every season, every 2 seasons, every so often, they just go, this is how frenzy works now. Syllara.
I think that's a very, very interesting idea, having a different frenzy every season that's tailored to different playstyle. I think it in a sense is healthy, but there is a balance on how you tweak things. For example, if you look at the latest change to the frenzy, it used to be later on in the frenzy, there's going to be an increase in damage for every single unit on the field. So now instead of damage, it turns into just straight up attack. So a lot of units that used to be really strong in frenzy, we're talking about Alencia, all these tank bruisers that didn't have a great attack multiplier, they're not as strong as before. I think it's very healthy, curving their damage down a little bit. But at the same time, the second change has to deal with the effectiveness, right? I think that went a little bit overboard. I'm actually one of those players that plays every single playstyle. I play cleave, I play bruiser, I also play crowd control, and the unit pool that I have is quite large. Because I like to play a little bit of everything. It's more fun to me. It challenges my brain. Sometimes it kind of I'm kind of confused myself because of so many options that I have when it comes to drafting. And even to me, like, I really enjoyed the crowd control play style. This is a little bit too much. You're overpowering characters that has things like defense break, like provoke, those S1 crowd control, like that's why you see Raz coming back into play, because now you can build him without any effectiveness. And when it comes to Frenzy 3, Frenzy 5, they get a free plus 100 effectiveness. That completely changed the way you play games, because like a lot of play style, you cannot drag the game on, because if you do, those units are gonna get lucky, and doesn't matter how much effect res you have on your Ruel, you're gonna get defense break and you're still gonna lose. So I think maybe they can rotate and have these changes, but don't make them too extreme. You know, maybe 50% would be enough. So there's still a need for effect res. There's still a need for effectiveness, but 100 is a little bit too much.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, I remember like last season, it was just, hey, you could get away with this, your Ruel having, 250 effect resist, and you were good to go. Like nothing was going to stop that. Now it's like after, a late frenzy, you're just going to get bopped by literally anything. And so now I noticed a lot of people are kind of switching away from effect resist, because, well, it doesn't matter now if you go more than a couple rounds into frenzies. So it's definitely a little bit rough. They definitely tweaked it a little bit too much. But Platty, what's your take on that?
I like the idea, but I don't know how they would implement it properly. So I think if you do implement a change like that, it is very limiting on people with limited either pools or playstyles. Right now, you see a lot more of these players that kind of struggled in the tank knight meta because they were primarily and only like cleave players, right? And it was really, really hard for them to break through these 4 knights, and their like play style was kind of like irrelevant. So you see these style cleavers come out, and I think this top 100 legend this season is going to look a lot different than last season, right? I think that's a good thing, but I also think it feels bad for the players that can't do that, right? It almost limits them, like all these competitive players that were legend before, that maybe they're not the fastest. Like myself, I'm not a super speedy player, but I do have a lot of, I would say, pretty good bruiser, good knight stats. I do have decent like speed DPS sets, but I'm not like a fast cleaver. I don't have like the 300 speed like Alots and 300 speed like Fliticas, all uniquely geared. So it's harder for players like maybe myself, but just in general, like if they don't have like the proper gear requirements to hit these thresholds. Sorry, 1 second. The cat was invading my space.
It's okay. Cats being cats.
Yeah, just cats being cats, but it kind of limits some players, and I'm not sure, as like the premium in-game like content for these like in-game players being RTA, you don't want to limit players. I guess you don't want to limit the player base, because they want to promote the game mode, right? Like outside of, I wouldn't even consider like Arena Rush, I wouldn't even consider like Guild Wars right now. It's just like RTA. That is what you do, like when there's nothing else to do, right? So like I wouldn't want the game to limit like certain players and make it so that it feels like they can't play, because like the Knight players right now are probably struggling versus like the new frenzy changes with effectiveness, the DPS now actually doing like damage once you get into the frenzy 2, frenzy 3. They're not able to just tank it out anymore, and if they can't play any other play style, they may just say, hey, I'm not going to play RTA.
Yeah. So do you think the new frenzy changes were actually just their way of further buffing Fire Ravi?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Fire Ravi, every single like big patch change like that gets buffed.
Yeah. Just even if it's like the reverse of Maid Chloe, right? Everything that they put out is just like Maid Chloe's over there just like, wait, why am I getting nerfed? I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, oh, because of Arby. Every buff in the game is either an A Tywin buff or a Fire Ravi buff. That's because A Tywin needed that extra buff from the late game effectiveness.
I will say It has. So when I looked at my account post these changes, it has like made me rethink builds, right? And I think that's also something that's kind of fun. So like something for myself, you mentioned like Ruel's having 200 effect res and like being able to resist everything and being like this unkillable unit that just sits there and doesn't get debuffed. I've noticed now that like I'm just getting provoked, I'm getting defense broken. Like it doesn't matter how much FRES I have. Like eventually she's gonna get debuffed now, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. So like for me, my build on Ruel now is like 240 speed with Potion Vial and 0 FRES. And it's
I'm gonna remember
kind
that
of working.
When I run up against you in RTA.
Yeah, like write these stats down. But I do think it's interesting how you can change your builds and how players can change their builds to adapt. I think that's interesting as well. So if there was like this rotating frenzy change, you'd see a difference in like how people build their units, which is nice. At the same time, gold costs to change units, free unequip only comes around so often. That's a whole nother topic, right? But,
right. And I think one of the things too, like you mentioned, how there's going to be a different crop of legend players, right? I think it would say something about the people who have the legend frame from multiple seasons, right? That's going to show that the player is much more versatile, can adapt to the seasonal changes and still, you know, get that top 100. Yeah, but Yakuza, what's your take on this?
So I've never really thought about it until now. It's a really cool idea, right? Having every single season be different. I'm down for that. But what I'm not down for is bringing back how Frenzy used to be. The reason why they changed it is because it was flawed, right? Even I think the current Frenzy is still kind of flawed in my opinion. But I'm down for changes every single season. I'm completely cool with that. It's just I would never bring back the past Frenzy changes. I think, I don't know, because I want to hear what Syllara has to think about this. Do you think Frenzy is just maybe a tad bit OP? Like, they either just go all out and they're like, you know what, 60% effectiveness, just go for it. 60% effectiveness and 60% attack, you know, whatever.
Yeah, right now the meta is kind of insane. Like every play style is very viable. You know, people play Bruiser, it works. People play crowd control, it works. I lose to every single play style. It's kind of insane. You know, and people have really unique strategies. You know, I think the change really benefited a lot of unit that used to not be viable before, especially with the latest balance change. And one more thing is, like, a lot of people think that having the ability to play different units and have a huge unit pool makes a lot of difference. Honestly, I lose just as much as any other player, honestly. I feel like the bigger your unit pool doesn't mean that you're gonna play better in RTA. Like I'm about to do a downsize to my unit pool because I feel like I'm not concentrated enough where I can deal with that. I can focus on my strategy.
Yeah, and like when it comes to like buffs, right? Because you brought up like you know, and we might get a new dev notes soon too. So
yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah.
But
another Melissa buff.
Oh, another one. All right.
Buff Robbie again.
See, this is what I mean. Like, I feel like sometimes, not all the time, they just go all out with the buffs, right? And like, for example, Cerise. I mean, yeah, was the buff like? I wouldn't say it was necessary, but was the buff good? Yeah, definitely. But I feel like they maybe overdid it just a little bit, right? Maybe not all three skills necessarily needed a buff there. And
I think just the S3 alone would have been more than enough. Like, here's your free oath key. You know, here, get rid of elemental disadvantage. But they're like, yeah, just throw this on the S2, and the person's like, okay, I mean, that's going to be really, really powerful, but if you say so, and they're like, yeah, and change your S1 too. Yeah, it double attacks whenever S3 is down. And it's like, are you okay? It's probably the same person who made Champ Zerato changes, honestly.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, I don't know. And if they do it at the middle of the season too, I feel like that's pretty detrimental, right? Like first season A Tywin buffs, and then people all of a sudden had to deal with A Tywin at the very end of the season. I don't know, man. I think balance changes is great though, right? Like the fact that the game isn't like afraid of like changing units up. I think that's great, but sometimes maybe they just overdo it a little bit.
Yeah,
I think
but
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the balance changes are good, but I also think that it's a lot of power creep. So units get stronger, so they have to make other units stronger, and with their mentality of not like willing to make negative adjustments to units, it's problematic, right? Like you're gonna eventually get to the point where Ravi is really strong, right? And then all these other units that are like not as strong into Ravi get buffed, right? I'm just using Ravi as an example, but and then all of a sudden now let's say Ravi is bad again, and then they buff Ravi again, and then she's insane. And we continually like buff and buff and buff and buff, and eventually like the game is gonna get so power crept that every new unit that comes out feels like kind of mediocre until they buff it, right?
I
like
mean,
more is a Mort is a really good example of that,
yeah.
I think.
I was
like
gonna say,
Mort
I mean, like
last
now,
season,
yeah,
like Mort last season would have been fantastic. I would have loved to have a Mort built. Like he's a perfect like bruiser unit that does a lot of things, really helps versus the tanks like with the injury. But like now he feels really underwhelming, right? Like because his kit doesn't do enough early, and then he just dies, or like later on Frenzy, injury doesn't really matter because units are dead, right?
Right.
So now like everyone's like, oh, Mort needs a buff, right? Mort's not that good. You saw like Landy got this buff and now Landy's insane, right?
Yep.
So like I would like to see them. I would like to see this upcoming balance change in 2021 have some nerfs. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think I think what Platy said, you know, it's already happening. You know, the power creep is kind of insane right now. Like you're looking at, you go into a draft, you start playing a game, and everything is powerful. You know, you can lose to every single play style, and it's so scary to play. You know, you don't feel like you don't feel like you have any control over what's going on in the matches. I don't know if you guys are getting that feeling, like you don't really understand what's going on because everything is so powerful. Like a single move has a chain reaction and you just lose really, really quickly without really understanding what's going on. Like for example, just like before when Arbiter Villager was extremely powerful and there's no way to deal with it. And sometimes when you go into these drafts lately, you have people playing Cerise and the new ML Ball, and there's nothing you can do because those units are so powerful now. You don't really have a ways to deal with them, you know. And then you look at Landy. Now she's also really powerful. You give her a strategy, she have like some people play 3 protect Landy, and that's really powerful too. And if you're not prepared for that, you just lose right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with those situations. I think the best way to do it is when they do these balance changes, they should change more units, but in a smaller increment, so the game doesn't go as crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just to jump on the like ML Ball Cerise, like I've lost so many games where like they get the first pick and it's like, do I ban this Cerise? Like, do I ban the Flurry? Like pre-bans feel really, really hard now, right? Like, because there's so many like I don't want to say problem, but there's so many strong units that like you pre-ban one, they just first pick another, and if you don't have like, let's say they first pick Cerise, right, and you can't really pick Ball into Cerise because Cerise counters Ball unless you're willing to just ban out the Cerise. Then you just trade bans and you get 4 other power picks. Then they pick the Ball if you don't pick Ball, and then you're just like, wow, I kind of just lose, like that, unless like you have like some units up your sleeve, right? But like I don't think there are those units yet, and then maybe this balance change we do see those units get buffed.
Yeah.
But then now those units become really strong, and Cerise Ball maybe not as strong, and we get into the same issue where people are like, Cerise kind of sucks again, or like Ball's trash again. Like we got to buff them again. So I don't know. I think smaller buffs would be good though. Yeah.
I agree with the smaller buffs part, but when it comes to like new units and the buffs and the power creep and all that, I don't see personally as much of a power creep as other games. Personally, I'm not saying the power creep doesn't exist. Of course it does, right? But I think one of the best things about RTA is how people can theory craft and create counters, right? Counter picks, and then have these insane drafts. I mean, the same thing was done for you know, when you fight F Clury, Rylet. There's so many new counters that people thought of. I think when it comes to like ball, I think we just need to wait for people to try to figure out how to deal with them. I think it's a bit too early. RTA season super early. Not enough people are playing yet. Everyone's just trying new things. So I'm not ready to say like, oh, he's just uncounterable and just power crept the entire meta.
It is the era of Champ Zerato.
Champions
Champ Z.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Start building him. If
you guys traded him in for Syngelica? Oh, feels bad, man.
Not like this.
I know so many people that traded in the Champ Z.
That's right. I plus 15'd him because he won me a Luna statue. As soon as I was done with that invitational tournament, I was like, Champ Z, you won me a Luna statue, plus 15. You're done. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Champ Z's actually. When I pick Cerise, people have been picking Champ Z with the new Tenebri artifact. It's kind of annoying.
Oh, no, it's super good.
It's kind of annoying.
I've been using it, and it amps up his damage quite a bit because, yeah, people will say, oh, but it's not really that much damage. I'm like, it's true damage. It's true damage. You guys said the same thing about ML Crow. You say the same thing about ML Balls S3. I'm like, maybe you don't understand how good true damage is on things, and he counters all the time. So yeah, no, I've been really enjoying it on him. So I think that, like, one of the things though, Platty, to, you know, come up to your point with like the power creep, right, is you're always going to have a worse unit. There's going to be a bad unit out there that might not necessarily be bad per se, but in a game there always has to be somebody who is at the bottom, and then you buff them and maybe they go back up to the top, which then shoves the, you know, stack down, and then you have somebody at the bottom. So I don't think it's necessarily bad. Do I think that sometimes they do go way overboard and they take a person who was maybe like middle of the road and then put them above everything that has ever existed? Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, Flitica, a Tywin, right? You know, all a Tywin really needed was just a small tweak and he would have been fine. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it, give him a stun on his S3, make it cost 10 souls to reduce the cooldown. Yeah, this is a good idea. But there will always be that bad unit. And I think that the balance changes, kind of shuffling things, really doesn't necessarily make it that bad. You're right, like a lot of units that come out now, people will just be like, this unit's bad, this unit's not RB, this unit's not this. But we see a lot of meta shift, right? And not even necessarily because of balance patches, it's just that, yo, this unit, all of a sudden, you know, somebody found a crazy build for it and it's insane. Now everybody's kind of going to this play style because somebody kind of figured it out how to do it. I would much rather a unit come out that's like lukewarm, like, this unit's good but it's not the best unit in the world. I think Mort suffers from them trying to try out a new mechanic and just shove injury on his S3. His kit does so much stuff. I mean, realistically though, if you didn't pull, you had to uninstall, so that was a really big thing. Like, if you didn't pull, you didn't? Guess you have to uninstall the game. Definitely.
Perfect. I'm free.
Pull or uninstall. But I think that when they try out new things, it's not always a hit, right? At least they're trying new things, you know. Kudos to them. His kit was really weird and had a lot going on, but does that mean that he's never going to be really good in the meta? No, not necessarily. Does he need buffs? I don't personally think so. We just need to see a shift in how people play. And I think that that is like one of the big things about Epic 7 is that there's always kind of this like rotating, this is the best player, this is the this is the best unit, this is the best build. Not only that, but if you think about it, I mean, we typically swim in high champ like legend pools. Our meta is a completely different meta than low champ or master or gold, and that's something too that I think a lot of people really don't take into consideration when they talk about whether a unit is necessarily good or bad, because it comes up to like what something like Syllara said earlier is, yeah, diene, phenomenal, you know, great unit, but do you have the gear for it? It might be, you know, SSS tier Flitica, take to Flitica, triple S plus tier character for a cleaver. But if your fastest gear is 210, that unit's not good because you are not going to outspeed anything. So a lot of times I think when people are assessing a unit, they assess that unit from, this is where I play. Does this fit into what my play style is, my team? Obviously a cleaver's not going to think that like a new bruiser is like, you know, the best thing in the world. Does this one shot everything? No, it doesn't. It's garbage. Arby's better, right? So yeah, I mean, we got way off topic of the frenzy changes, but I think that like going back to the actual question, I think that frenzy changes could definitely shift up the seasonal meta. Now, the one problem that I think that it would present is I just plus 15 to a whole bunch of units that fit really, really well in this season. Next season it shifts, and all of the units that are super good this season, guess what? I now don't have any of those built because, well, I was building for this season. So unless you are an Omega whale that buys every MOLA pack, you're still probably behind. You're not going to be able to shift as easily in said new meta. I think that would be probably the only problem there. But because we went so far off topic, we're going to switch here to question number 3. And this is on the most recent official tournament. Now, anybody who watched it knows that we had a global ban of Falconeer Clary and Arbiter Vildred. Very semi-targeted bans. Arbiter Vildred, everybody was afraid of YDCB, so they banned his Arby. Apparently it worked. You know, me, it was tough because I was like, wait, hold on, what do I do without Falconeer Clary? Like, that's like 100% of my drafts is Falconeer Clary Adventurer Russ. Like, I don't know what to do without this. Your opinion on whether or not that was good or bad for official tournaments? I have my own opinions, but Syllara.
I think a lot of people think that global ban is not healthy for the game because you're removing entire play styles sometimes. Like Falcon and Clary is like one very unique play style. Same thing with Arbiter Vildred. I think in a sense it's very healthy for the meta that you're removing a certain key element in a drafting phase that makes smarter player wants to be more creative in the process. I remember before, like in our guild, like season 1, right? We ran a in-house tournament, and back then Bazaar was an insane character, you know. And what we did is we let people choose. Okay, we will global ban 3 units, and one of the unit was Bazaar, you know. And I was thinking, okay, now all my insane Bazaar gear, I have to find a unit to replace that role. And I was thinking, okay, what is gonna be the next unit that I can find that can take the gear really well? So I just swapped it over to Falcon and Clary. Okay, so that is actually and guess what? I won that tournament. There was like nobody had an opportunity to do anything because nobody realized how powerful that unit is with Bazaar gear. And I ran a 270 speed Falcon and Clary back then. And I just wiped the floor with everybody. And then season 1, near the end, that became the meta. You know, I think
yeah.
Malona learned it, and then he was spamming it everywhere, and I think that became what it is today. So I think having global bans will force players to be more creative, and then you're gonna see new play styles, and you're gonna see these units that never been used before coming into the meta. So I think it's very, very healthy for the meta, or cancerous, depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. Platy, go ahead.
I like it and I don't like it. I like it kind of in the fact that it does like promote variety in drafts, but only when you're like getting rid of. You can't get rid of like very niche units, right? That are just overpowered in their niche use. They have to be somewhat like flexible, right? So I think, for example, Falconer Clary, right, is you can draft her into a lot of things, right, and kind of pivot that Falconer Clary into other drafts. Same with Arby, right? Arby's not just a cleaver. You can use him in most. I would not say most drafts, but you can draft him and feel pretty okay with it for the most part. Well, let's say like you globally ban like a unit like last season, like Emil Crow, or like a unit like Emil Haste, right? Like you can't do that, right? Because now you're limiting like a kind of more, what's the word? Just that like specific play style, right?
Yeah.
Or that specific RB counter, or that specific like really, really strong unit that may be overpowered in one draft but like sucks in another draft. That limits drafts. So I think if it's for an official tournament, I think if the players like vote and decide, right, and it's like player choice, not like company choice, I think that would be better.
Yeah, so that was how it was with the official tournament.
Okay.
So everybody had to submit 3 units that they wanted banned. I think mine was like Rylet. I actually did put Falconeer Quarry because I wanted Falconeer Quarry banned, because if I can't pick Falconeer Quarry, then nobody else can. And I forget what the third one was. Oh, I think it was Flitica. I think the third one was Flitica. So they tallied all of those, and then those were the 2 bans. So Falconeer Quarry and Arby were the ones.
Okay. See, and I think that's good. I think if the people in the tournament vote on it and it's like a majority vote, I agree with that. I wouldn't necessarily like if like the company just saw like they looked at statistics of like what is being played in these, like, higher
Twitch chat bans units.
Twitch chat bans units.
That would be amazing, and it would probably be, they would be like, okay,
Twitch plays RTA.
ML Leo and Haste are banned from this tournament. Oh no. Oh. But
I love that.
Yeah.
I do think it also like promotes like the variety, right? Like I know a lot of complaints when people host, like just like streamers host RTA tournaments. I see a lot of people like, oh, this is so boring, right? Everyone drafts the same. I only see like Falconer Clary Aros. I only see Arbiter Vildred. I only see Emil Crow, Emil Haste, right? So if you like start taking away, like you do this global ban list, like, hey, like tournament's more exciting. You'll see more units that maybe like can't be played or not as strong, like what Syllara said, right? Like he took his Bassar gear, he put it on Flurry. Nobody like knew Flurry existed, right?
You know what you do to make tournaments more interesting? You just invite Aether Bulge, and then he 3-0s with Mursa and a Maid Chloe in the finals.
Hey, Mursa's a speed imprint.
Yeah.
But I do think like it can promote like more like unit diversity, right? And you can see like these units that maybe people you like sit down and like, what is the next best replacement? Right? What is the next best thing?
Yeah.
What is something else that could function but is just not as good as like a Falconer Clear, right?
Right.
So it's interesting in that aspect, and I do like that.
Yeah, I mean, because I actually had to like go into rooms and practice not picking Falconeer Query until I met Syllara in the ladder, and then I was just like, no, I have to try hard, I'm picking Falconeer Query. And then Syllara messages me right after and is like, yo, I thought you weren't picking Falconeer Query. And I'm like, no, I had to, this was sweaty, I had to, I had to beat the ass cart master. I screenshotted that, and then I just took it to the internet. I was like, look guys, I beat Syllara, easy life, easiest fight of my life. But Yakuza, what's your take on it?
I think it's great. I mean, it's fun, right? Like the whole point of these tournaments is for fun. It's not like super sweaty like last day of RTA season.
Ugh.
I think allowing the creators to choose who to ban is also great. Because I mean, look, for me it would be a win-win, right? Like F Chloe's gone, Gab gamers are gone. I'll take it, right? I'll try out different comps and all that. But I mean, I'm looking forward to more tournaments coming from Epic 7 themselves, as well as other content creators, right? I think that's just overall, you learn a lot from watching it. It's entertaining. And then, we get to see, Made Chloe absolutely destroy the, top 2 players. I mean, it really depends on the meta, right? I agree with the point where it's like, you don't really want to ban like niche units because then people would just abuse that, right? If you ban like ML Haste, people will abuse RB and stuff like that.
Right.
So I would like to see more draft, like more unique drafts. The smart players will obviously people like Syllara, right? You come up with some like crazy new weird draft that turns out to work, and who knows, that might become meta later. There's no way to know, but yeah, I mean it's super exciting. I mean, there's so many tournaments already in the Epic 7 scene, and each of them has its own like unique twist, whether it's like, a 5v5 or single elimination, best out of 3. And I think that's just another thing people can do, not just Smilegate, anyone that's hosting a tournament, just globally ban units.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and just I thought about this today, like having Arbiter Wildred being in the unit pool is, in my opinion, not very healthy for the gameplay, because just by knowing that he exists will limit the amount of unit you can actually draft. If you think about it, like basically it forced the draft to be very knight and bruiser heavy. It forces people to really tank up, and that means that halfway through the draft, that potentially they can last pick RB, and that means like 50% of your unit is gone. You can't pick them.
Right.
So I think having these global bans will make it more interesting for the game.
So what you're saying is they should just remove Arbiter Vildred from the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Remove Alexa's basket.
I can get behind
just
that.
remove Gab.
Yeah, I mean, RB's really not that scary until you get the Gab gaming, and then you're like, oh, of course. Of course he got greater attack. Of course he got it.
I would like to add one quick thing. I do think this becomes more difficult if, like, let's say Smilegate takes the Summoner's War route, where there's money on the line. I do think then, like, I don't know if it gets to the point, like, I don't know if you guys ever watched or played Summoner's War.
I mean,
like,
I've heard of the big tournaments, yeah.
They're big, like, SWC tournaments with, like, $20,000, $30,000 on the line, where it's, like, a good chunk of money, right? I don't know if a global ban is necessarily great in that sense.
Yeah.
But in more of, like, the not, like, for a lot of money, like the just for fun tournaments or like content creator tournaments or their official stuff that way, I think it's great.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, technically you could say that the previous tournament was for 2 $8,000 prizes because me and Platty both got the Luna statues.
Wait, what? I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything.
First and second place got Luna statues. That's
wrong,
why
wrong Platty.
Not Platty. Panshui. Both start with P. Panshui. Me and Panshui both got those. And I completely agree with you. If like there's money on the line, then absolutely not. Like, because then like we've said, it shifts how you have to play. When I knew that Arby was banned, I was like, oh, awesome. I don't have to worry about him popping up at the end and not having drafted ML Haste early. I mean, I still like drafting ML Haste, but knowing that you can strategize around that, not only that, but it also potentially takes out somebody's potentially best unit, right? Or the unit that they're most familiar with playing. So now they have to shift their whole style. Plus it also is basically a ban, right? If Arby would have showed up, you probably would have banned it or, tried to counter it. Now you basically pre-ban their Arbiter Vildred and you can pre-ban something else, you know. So in the case of like YD, Arby's banned, okay, cool, now I'm free to pre-ban CDOM and then just deal with his cleave by taking it down or whatever. So yeah, I think for fun tournaments, absolutely, but if it's official tournament, you know, for money, for whatever, then I don't personally like global bans. Let people use what they have. If they don't have the unit, then A plus, like you know, the guy who I went up against not having ML Crow, so he's like, oh, I just ban ML Crow every time because I don't have it, and I'm like, cool.
Do you guys know if other games you have more than one pre-bans? Like, do you think that would mess up the game too much?
I don't think the unit pool is big enough in Epic 7 quite yet to have more than one pre-ban. If both people pre-ban 2 units, I don't say you're limiting a lot, but it's hard to then like have enough units, or not enough units, but like I guess now with everything being so strong, drafts would probably be fine. But
I think you're right. I think some strategy would be way too oppressive. You know, if you, let's say you remove 2 unit that deals with Arbiter Vildred. Yeah. Right? You're done.
Yeah, especially since you know like who gets first pick now. Like if you know you're going against a cleaver, you could just ban like Politica CDOM or like the Politica Cerise, right? Right. And they have no real enabler outside of the A-lots or like a Rose, for example, and then you can kind of deal with the draft better. And then if they don't pre-ban your anti-cleave options, then you're just like, well, you're only a cleaver. I just pre-ban your 2 like fastest like units to like give you that first turn. What are you gonna do? So I feel like 2 pre-bans right now at least is too soon. But
yeah, I think the other problem with that too is that not everybody's going to have enough gear for that. Again, like we're talking from like our standpoint, where it's like, you know, Syllara has to literally downsize his you know, his roster because he has just so many units to pick from that he gets lost in it. I have that problem sometimes as well. But you know, a newer person to RTA, you know, a mid champ person, you ban 2 units and that might be just their 2 best units, and now it's like, oh, okay, well now you're getting, you know, units picked, stuff like that. So it'd be a little bit rougher with that. So
chat saying control would be insane because you just ban like Caesarado and Momo, or like Caesarado and Emil Tywin.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like you said, with first pick being known, it would be a lot harder as well, just because I know that was something that came up in my early tournaments, was when we tried to do like the rotating first pick, is that people were like, well, if I know what they're picking or that they're first pick, I just ban, or you know, that I'm first pick, I just pre-ban ML Hayes pick Arby. This was before obviously Top Mono Lulica, so you know, then it's like, okay, well, what do you do now, right? So I definitely think that 2 would be a little bit too much. And if it is official, if it's not just like a for funsies content creator, then like the global ban, not the best one. But we're gonna move into the last question here, and Epic 7 in 2021. First off, you know, Yakuza, I'm sure you have a lot to say because you are in Epic 7 in 2021. But this question is going to kind of revolve around what kind of things would you like to see in 2021 that would improve just the overall health of the game, maybe more adoption, new players, stuff like that. Syllara, have at it.
Oh, okay. So I think Epic 7 in 2020, there was like a huge focus and World Arena, balancing the game, like making every unit very strong and viable and tweaking the World Arena. It makes sense, you know, like they just introduced it. It's been the first year of RTA. They have to do something about it. But in 2021, what I really wanted to see is they go back a little bit into a team game. Before before RTA was out, it was really enjoyable for a guild to get together and play Guild War. You know, where you have a strategy and everybody like did this the unity. You know, and then the even though Guild War didn't have great rewards back then, that was the only competitive content. But if you look at today, everybody basically play for themselves in RTA. And I don't know if that's the healthiest thing for the game, because like any kind of game, it's always about community. And right now, you don't, the Guild War basically feels like a PvE farm. You know, you go into Guild War, you do your 3 attack, you collect the mystics, and then that's basically it. You know, like every defense is kind of solved. I think there needs to be a new mode where people kind of have to work together, like your guild work together and compete to get these rewards. I think that will really make the game fun again, and that's what I really wanted to see in 2021.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good. Platy?
Make Guild Wars great again. That is what I would like to see in 2021. Guild Wars is another list of like a chore, right? And I feel like for a lot of players, even like in like newer players, like mid game players, like Guild Wars is a chore. It is something that you log in, you do. Sometimes you just fight these guilds. So like last season, right? Like Veritas, we stopped caring. We kind of just threw out our Guild War attacks. Great, you full lost 3 times. Fantastic. You got it done for the day. It doesn't matter. And then like we would fall down in the ranks and fight these guilds, right? That like even if we were full losing every time, there's like this gear difference, and then it's not fun for the other players, so they just do their 3 attacks, right? And they don't really care. I want like the game mode to matter a little bit more, at least. So like incentives for like guild based activities, because right now it kind of just feels like a guild is like a name, right? Like just a group of players that you play with. And there's nothing else really to that. Like, fantastic world boss, congratulations! Like, get your gold, get your guild crest, occasionally your mola every month. But give us something to like do like with other players. RTA to an extent, you don't really do that with other players though. But like you can like practice with your friends, I guess, with the RTA rooms. But
yeah,
give us more team based stuff, because something that I miss is that like and not everybody misses this, right? But I personally had a lot of fun like season 2 GVG, like sitting in a call, like figuring out like, oh, like I'm fighting Abdar and his 300 speed of like Basar. How can we beat this team, right? Like how do we like as like Lilac, our old guild leader, would say, how do you punch above your weight class, right? How do you like theory craft these teams on both on defense and on offense, like to beat the other teams? And now it's just like, you know what? Go in. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. On to RTA, right? So make Guild Wars great again. Give us something worth playing for with guild content. And I guess in 2021, I would also like to see some more unit balancing with like nerfing some units, nerfing some artifacts, buffing units like haste. I would love to see haste good again. Make haste great again as well. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. This point. It really is.
Just don't buff him.
Never buff haste.
Yeah, he'll just be the bottom mark. Like, hey, you know what? At least this isn't haste, right?
Yeah.
You know,
like you said, there always has to be a bottom unit. I guess it's haste.
Haste is definitely a bottom. I agree with that one. Yakuza.
So before I get into 2021 as a whole, I want to kind of piggyback off what Platy said. So I think what they need to do is make GVG somehow more competitive, right? They need to kind of get the top 20 guilds to go for top 3. They need to get the top 100 guilds to go for top 20. And right now, the only thing there is the frame. And no one really cares about the frame too much, right? It's nice. I mean, in life, the only thing that's actually making our members like attack is like not writing int reports, right? Or getting yelled at by Nux. But I think somehow they need to figure out a way to make it so that, you know, people want to fight for top 3 and really, really try for top 3. And I mean, Syllara or any of you guys in chat as well, what could they do to kind of make that happen? What changes can happen in Guild Wars to make it more competitive?
I think first thing is definitely the reward. Right now, it's all about the mystics, right? Like, I mean, one thing they should do is, I think, give us gold. You know, like I see so many player like not have enough gold to do stuff, right? What if being at a certain rank, you get this gold income every single week? Because a lot of people, when they're competing in Guild War, one of the thing is you don't want to switch gear because it costs gold, so you end up losing that fight. But let's say you're a top 20 guild and they give you 5 million gold a week or 5 million golds per month, that's gonna make a pretty big difference. Or give us rewards that's relevant in the RTA setting, like more molas, right? Your guild, if you're in the top guild, you're getting these mola incomes, or you're getting these friendship things where you can pump in, like the new lantern, where you can give it to your unit and increase the friendship. So you're getting the mola that way, right? By plus 15 a unit, or some other ways where it's relevant to the RTA setting, so more people would be willing to do Guild War.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that's a good step in the direction. I don't know if that would make it as competitive as, like, say, RTA for some. There's got to be a way, right?
I
To
would
make
personally
it
like,
that. What's that?
I would personally just like specific guild frames, like per player, not just for the
They
guild.
can't do that. They can't do that
I would love. So this is an idea that I had, but like, I don't think it would ever happen. I don't think it will ever happen. But I think it would be super cool, like how they have like top 3 arena frames, right? And like the top 30 arena frames, like top 100 arena frames. You could even like expand it further than that. But like specifically for the top 3, if you just gave like per season like a rank 1, 2, and 3 frame to those players, and not only like had it specific to rank 1, 2, and 3, but like even like so much as to add like the guild name to the bottom of the frame, right?
So Syllara, I'll pay you $1,000 for a
Yep.
rank
the
1.
problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem, right? People monetize it. You can buy your way into the guilds, and you can buy the frame, right? That's a big problem. I mean, it's a great idea.
People already do it already, right? For arena,
Yeah.
like you can spend endless amount of money refreshing
True.
to get that top arena frame. So it's no different than that, right?
Well, no. The difference is that money is going to Smelgate, right? Now instead, it's going to the guild leaders.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that would. I don't know. I mean, I love the idea, right? Like, cool.
But
yeah,
I also think like
frames.
Right, like you can't. If someone said it in chat, like you could make it be so like they have to be in the guild for a certain amount of time, right? They have to participate in X amount of fights, right? Like they have to do that. Even like half the
your way in, though. I mean, because like, okay, let's say
but it would make it more competitive, right? And that means there's no guarantee of top 3 at that point. At the beginning of the season, there is no like, if Guild War seasons are set in stone, right? You could require it for those guild members to be present for 75% of the time, right? And at that 25% mark, there's no guarantee that a guild is going to be top 3. A lot of things can happen, right?
Yeah.
And like,
yeah,
I think it would also incentivize like people trying harder instead of like myself. Like I'll go in, it's like, I really don't want to do Guild Wars today, and I'll find 3. If I'm finding a friends guild, I'll find 3 friends and give them 2 mystics each. Easily solved.
I don't know.
I don't have to do Guild Wars that day.
I think that's a slippery slope. It would be dope, right? Like I'd love like, a life only frame. That would be really cool to have. But I don't see how it would work out. I think what they need to do, right, is like the whole reward system, whether it be mystics, they could do also like weekly sky stones, whatever it may be. They need to also make it like much higher for top 3, right? That way, now, okay, well, you get instead 200 mystics if you're top 3. A lot of people would then try for top 3, right? More guilds would actually try to get there. It would be much more competitive. I think right now,
I also think that limits though. That limits a lot of newer players.
Maybe not like top 3, right? And like it's still like in place for newer players, right? But instead, it's like top 400 or however it may be. I don't know, like the top 400 get like the same rewards, right? I think that's the problem.
But like the difference between a rank 400 and a rank 1 is pretty significant. You see that now. Like,
exactly.
Even that, and that's part of the problem, right? Is the people at the same ranks are getting the same rewards, and that's why it feels not rewarding.
Right.
And that's why there's no competition.
Yeah. That's why Yakuza's saying that if you're top 1 or 3, you should get exponentially more rewards. Now, I understand what you're saying, Platty, is that
like if you
that just
think about
means
it on
the rich get richer, right? But
like,
yeah,
the newer players, and we all know that Smilegate loves to listen to like the newer end, like they want to benefit the newer players. This does the exact opposite. And with how frequently now they're changing like Guild War seasons and pre-seasons to reset our Mystic like count and how many we get like for times 5 rewards, like Mystics are their main source of income, right? If you think about it,
yeah,
like you theoretically you have enough time in between each limited banner to save up to guarantee that. And if you don't get any bottles and any other artifacts, you can get and guarantee now those limited artifacts. So the main source of money now is these new MLs that are coming out on Mystic Banner every single like 2 rotations, right? Or like the reruns. So that is their main source of money. So as a business and as a company, there's no way I see them giving out like higher Mystic rewards, especially if it does not benefit the lower end, right? Because this is Epic 2. This is Epic 2.8 all over again, right?
True.
If you start benefiting like the top end, right? And I'd love top ends to get more, but like I just don't see like a company like Smilegate doing that. And you bring up Arena, right? And Skystones aren't equivalent to Mystics, right?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You guys don't take
most
the Mystics for your weekly reward?
Oh yeah, I mean I do it all the time. That's why I have no Skystones.
Oh no.
So you don't refresh shops?
Yeah.
Oh man, refreshing shop gives my hand carpal tunnel. I don't
know. Like outside of currency though, it's kind of tough to determine what is a valuable reward, right?
What about cosmetics? Like a skin,
I
kind
wish,
of like they do for
wish
RTA.
they would do cosmetics. Like I would love more cosmetics. Like there's nothing I would love more in this game than just them to throw cosmetics and skins at us like nonstop. I just want them, but they are not very fast at that. So, but here's the other problem too, though, is if you go, okay, only the top 3 get this, this cosmetic skin, then everybody else is going to be like, but I want that skin too. This isn't fair.
You could do different degrees of skins with like different effects.
Agree with you. I agree with that. 100%.
So I think was this Summoner's War that has something similar to that, where it's not like the skin itself.
Yeah, so they have like auras. They have auras.
Auras.
And I think the auras are really cool and something that I'd like to see, like a lightning effect or like a darkness effect that you could apply to each one of your units, and that would show up. I do think that in Summoners War they do a really good job at giving out those cosmetics because it feels more fair, I guess, but I also think that like they also don't list what's it called? Summoners War gives players the option to use like their RTA currencies and stuff to get those if you play enough.
Yeah.
So that could be another thing, maybe like a Guild Wars based currency that you do, like you get X amount of this currency and you can use that to buy a skin, right? Or you can use that to buy an aura. Maybe that would fix it.
And this kind of goes into like the whole 2021 conversation or the original question, but I think that Smilegate should really just monetize skins.
Yeah,
I think no one has a problem with monetizing skins, even if it's like limited to like actual like you have to buy it with like cash. I think that's fine. No, I mean free to play players can't complain because it's cosmetics. Whales can't complain. I mean it looks nice. We all love skins, right?
Yeah.
Smilegate would make a lot of money. It seems like a win-win-win situation for me.
Yeah,
I don't know why they haven't.
I feel like it's because it probably takes them a bit longer to get everything skin wise for these units versus like, you know, let's say like a 2D chibi Arc Knights or something like that, where you just slam skins out nonstop. I don't know necessarily what the process is. I'm sure that the Rona has slowed a lot of things down as well in terms of skin, but I mean, they could put out a new skin every month, and I would just be like, "Yo, bro, done." There would be a reason for me to buy
skin packs.
Yeah. We have a completely useless skin pack that, I mean, does nobody
buys
get
skin tickets? I don't even think we got skin tickets this Epic Pass, right? Like the later one, we didn't even get skin tickets.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. They were just like, we'll just get rid of this idea.
You know what it is? I think Smaug actually talked about this before, that every time they make a new scheme is equivalent to them making a new character, right? Because they got to redo the arm skin, the leg skin is basically a brand new character, even though it's the same.
Yeah.
So I think them giving the skin reward to a small amount of player without monetizing it is kind of too expensive, because you need these artwork to be sold, right, in order to make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't think it will be a skin won't be a reward for a small amount of people. That's just my thought, you know?
I don't know. The whole thing about like, oh, skins, they might cost too much or might take too much time. I kind of disagree. I mean, if we look at other games, Overwatch, League of Legends, they spit out skins like crazy. And those are probably much harder or much more expensive to come out with. I think money really talks, right? The company that does the art for Epic 7, if they offer a certain amount of money to whether, you know, speed up the process, I mean, you know, that's how it works, right? They'll speed up the process. So I think it's definitely possible. 100%.
You have to think about the company size too, though. Like Riot and Blizzard are huge, where Smilegate is like not as big, right? It's a smaller company, so it might take them a while. And you also look at games like the smaller gotchas, or not smaller, but like Summoners War, right? Like, let's be honest, the game doesn't look great. And I think one of the big reasons why
that's a whole other
one of the big reasons why I think a lot of us play Epic 7 is because of the animation. So we want it to look good. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously we don't know how it is behind the scenes, but if it is possible, I definitely think that's a great opportunity. I think everyone wins in that situation. Let's say money wasn't a problem. Maybe time isn't a problem in the future. Maybe, I mean, it really depends, but I think that could be great for the game. You know, maybe with that money, they can finally make an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, like I said too, though, the other thing is, like, we don't know just how much COVID impacted a lot of the plans for this year. Like, I know that from the North American side, talking to the community managers and stuff, they had a lot of plans for like anime conventions and just like promoting and going to cons and stuff like that, and tournaments, in-person tournaments and things like that just got shut down. So not only that, but like you have people that can't go into offices, you know, you're working from home. There's a lot of things that kind of got just jammed up. Now, whether or not in the future they plan on, you know, kickstarting more skins, who knows? But I do know that like last year, a lot of businesses, right, got slowed down on things. I mean, look at all the anime and manga that got delayed just because of Rona. So when you think about it, you have these artists that might not be working to their maximum output just because they can't like go into an office. They have, you know, the back and forth, whatever. So that might be it too. But yeah, I would love to see more skins, more cosmetics. I've always said that would just be like the super easiest way for them to just make extra money, instead of just being like, yo, here's a new pack. You guys don't want to buy Stigma packs? Here is the Powder of Knowledge pack, which I don't know why anybody would buy that pack. That's the worst.
You guys
pack
don't buy those?
Yeah, I do every time, actually.
Yeah, every time it pops up. I like selling artifacts so it procs, so I can buy it. You know?
Honestly, I just buy it so that it no longer procs up for the rest of the month, right? Like, can't show me something to buy if it's not there.
True. Big brain. Big brain.
But one of the things that I personally want to see more of in 2021 is promotion of the game. I think that like take games like Genshin, Arc Knights, some of the bigger hits, even though Arc Knights kind of fizzled out a little bit. Those games were everywhere. Like you couldn't load up a YouTube video without somebody talking about one of those games. It's actually why I got like the paid YouTube, so I don't have to watch ads anymore, because I was getting tired of them promoting me games. But it's like absolutely everywhere. But it's like, yo, where's my Epic 7 promotion? Oh, that's right, it's in Japan at Wendy's, where I can't go to. Right. Yeah.
What a world we live in.
What a world we live in. They just really don't have a big marketing presence. A lot of people, it was very big for a little bit, and then they just kind of let it coast, and I never saw any ads for Epic 7, nothing like that. I mean, I'm seeing a little bit more here and there, and they did promote it a bit more during the anniversary. I saw like I was like swiping on Tinder and stuff like that, and I got an Epic 7 ad, and I'm like, yo, I'm already in a relationship with you, but I'm gonna right swipe anyways. So I think too that a lot of their marketing plan was trying to like go to anime conventions and pick up people there, because that's definitely a very, very solid way. I remember when FGO started doing their road tour, a lot of people that didn't know anything about Fate Grand Order would be standing there talking about Fate and stuff like that. So having that kind of presence at an anime convention with a bunch of weebs who have no financial responsibility or control is perfect for a gacha game. Like, how can we get the people who have the least adult responsibility of managing their money? Oh, they're already here at an anime con buying body pillows and stuff like that. Hey, come over here, we got this game for you, right? So I think that like once COVID's kind of tapers out and anime conventions come back, that can be a really big thing for them. What they need to do, honestly, to market their game is to hire more doujin artists.
True. I lost chat. Oh,
like, right?
Yeah, I love me some blossoming Euphine.
If there is anything I see more people complain about, is people that are like, yo, where's our wholesome hand-holding comic books? We've been out for like 2 years. Genshin hasn't even been out a year, and they've already got them. Like, bro, come on, more fan art, more doujins, more eludes, just hire people. I'm pretty sure that like the Chinese games have literal dedicated departments around that. I know that the Azure Lane had to have like just had a department that were just like, yo, just draw all of this stuff as but I think that that's one big thing that Epic 7 really needs to do. They've changed their game very, very well over the time. I mean, if you were to go back 2 years ago to when the game first started, this is a completely different game. Like, it has changed so much. And the amount of quality of life that they pump out regularly is phenomenal. But they just gotta get it out there to more people. I think that's the big problem.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you look at games like so you look at games like AFK Arena, like Raid Shadow Legends, like all these like swamps of ads that you get. Epic 7 is a better game, right? Like, yeah, Epic 7 is by far better than all of these other ads that we're getting, and it's almost never like advertised. Granted, I downloaded the game originally because I kept getting it like ads on Facebook, and I'm just like, please, if I download your game, will you stop? I do not want any more ads. I downloaded the game and look where I am now. But like, I kind of agree with that, right? Like, because the game mechanically and just visually is a lot better than all these other games that are being advertised, and it's kind of sad to see it like not be like one of those bigger things where you see it like more promoted. Like I have friends too that like play game, not I guess like mobile games, right? And they're like, "What the heck is Epic 7?" Like,
Yeah.
like oh yeah, like I've played like I'm trying to think of other games like Azure Lane, I guess, or like Girls Frontline, stuff like that. Like all these other games, like what the heck is Epic 7? I have no idea what that is, and I've like tried to explain it to them, and I show them, they're like, "Whoa, this looks sick."
Yeah.
And like word of mouth only goes so far between player base, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like if my IRL friends are like, "Oh yeah, what do you stream? What do you play? What do you do? What games do you play?" I'm like, I play TFT, I play League, you know, I play those FPS games. I'm a COD gamer. I hardly ever will like
Wait,
say,
hold on.
"Oh yeah,
I just say I play a Korean game. I'm like, I play a Korean game.
You know what a marketing strategy would work really well for Epic 7 is, you know, Epic 7 has one of the best storylines, right? So all they gotta do is spend all their money, make an awesome anime or like a movie, make a bunch of people cry, you know, like and then that way you can go to your friend and say, "Dude, check out this movie." Right? check out this, watch this episode, right? They watch it and then you're like, "Dude, did you know there's a game?
Yeah.
I've been playing it for 2 years."
I think thousands of dollars on this game.
So out of all the anime gacha games, Epic 7 is the second biggest non-IP carried anime gacha game in NA. So I mean that says a lot, right? I mean, first being Genshin, of course, because you know, it attracts all the normies and all that. But I mean, other than that, like
Breath of the Wild, the mobile game.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly.
Yeah, somebody said it in chat, you know, like the end side story. You make that into a movie, you're done.
True. Or I had the idea of like Epic 6, right? So the sixth epic having like the whole Judge Kisei Ruel route, and then people can then play the game and then play Epic 7. And then they'll go into Epic 7 and have a completely new story.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they could just do the normal story, because even most of the players probably would have no clue what's going on. They'd be like, "Is this a new story?" And you'd be like, "No, that's the actual story." They'd be like, "You mean the skip button? That's
the skip button."
All right.
Okay.
And I don't know. If you, did you guys read the newest chapter from the actual chapter 3? What is it? Chapter 3.6?
Yeah,
Did you guys read it?
I didn't. I haven't finished it yet, but no,
the whole more thing. I think they did a really good job. The story is exponentially getting better and better, and so is the writing, right? And then obviously the whole side stories are its own thing, and they're great. But the main story is getting better and better from what I've experienced.
The story is actually insane. When I was reading it, I was like, holy crap, you know, that's pretty epic if I can watch it instead of having to read it.
Also true. Like
I really like the ball one. The ML Ball one?
Oh, no, that one was good. The side story, like the circus thing.
And like the last thing with Rylet was so dope. Yeah. Like,
wait, hold on. It's not 2021 yet, so I can still say this, but you know, Rylet kind of a simp. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a simp.
Just a little bit.
Just
all right. We'll call him a shrimp from now on.
A shrimp. But you know what? The thing is, their story definitely has, because I remember like the original like first couple of months story. I was coming from FGO, so like my story level requirements were a little bit higher, and I'm like, this kind of yikes. Like, I mean, I guess it's all right for like a non, you know, prolific IP, its own original thing. I'm like, but Ross kind of sucks. But yeah,
I don't know, dude. Think about when you bring in FGO, right? Like Orleans, Rome, right? Like the first few chapters aren't there. That's why I think like the next chapter might just get that much better, right? If it keeps exponentially getting better and better, I mean,
imagine if we get like Babylonia levels of story.
Who knows? Maybe.
You know who I want is the cool mage dude from the side story now, from Witch Haven, the old guy.
Yeah,
I want more
dude,
of him.
there's so many unreleased characters though, like for real, that like we have designs of already, but we haven't gotten the banners.
And
Especially from this
skins.
new chapter, right? Where are the mecha units at?
Yeah.
When are we gonna get those write-ups?
Where is
I
my
want like
Kana,
artifact.
bro?
Yeah.
I want like artifact heroes, like the like Elbersart or like
Dreamblade.
Elia's knife. Like I
Yeah.
would pull for that unit.
Oh, I
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, some of those designs are super badass.
You know how they could also make a lot of money is if they put the artifact art on giant wall scrolls that you could buy.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Or prints. That would be amazing. That would be amazing stuff. Man, except it would still cost me like $700 to ship it to the United States.
Yeah.
For like one wall scroll.
Wait, that's a whole nother thing though. The marketing team, puzzle, really, dude? A board game? There's so many cool things they could do with like E7 merch.
The board game does look super freaking cool, dude.
But who are you gonna play the board game with? It's COVID season. Like
I am. You know what?
Dude.
I will mask up and do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought the board game does look kind of cool. Lots of miniatures, so I'm gonna kickstart it and buy it. But I mean, I also like board games, so gonna be definitely kind of cool. I also bought all of the FGO mini things anyways, just to have them. So
how many players is the board game?
I think it was like 1 to 4 or something like that.
It'd be kind of cool if people like content
Like
creators that like were nearby, like I don't know, like got together and played the board game on stream.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? If
Fly me out, Platy.
Yeah, just fly over.
If they have, if we can get out of COVID, and there's ever a con where we all meet up at, we can definitely bring it. And
that would be so fun.
That would be tight.
Yeah, I'll see you guys there, man.
Yeah,
I'm down.
for sure.
I need to get out of Japan, man.
I need to go to Japan, man.
Yeah,
I should be over there like right now. That was my plan
That's
to
a shame, man.
be over there for New Year's, but
That's a shame.
I mean, we're kind of in open discussion. Did any of you guys see anything from chat that you want to discuss? I mean, this is going to go a little bit longer. This is a special New Year's episode, so we got time to field a couple of chats questions.
Yeah, if you guys have anything, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, 2020 was the best year of Epic 7. I think I can like say that with like quite a lot of confidence, right? 2019 was a bit yikes, right? And then 2018 is obviously when it started. So I think 2020 they did a good job. I hope they keep it up. They're doing a good job listening to the community. What do you guys think about like having like beta testers
For
like
new unit changes?
For like new units, whether it's like quality of life changes, maybe RTA changes, having like a team of beta testers to
I do think it would help.
Yeah,
it would help a lot because I feel like sometimes with their unit changes, like it feels like they don't quite understand the magnitude of the change that they're making. I'm looking at Cerise as a big one, right? Like
yeah.
But like having someone that like plays the game a lot, plays RTA a lot, plays Arena a lot, plays like Guild Wars a lot, say like, hey, maybe Cerise doesn't need a dual attack on skill 1. Maybe the skill 3 is just fine, right? Like, I think that would definitely help with like kind of like those big exponential like unit changes, and we would be able to scale it back to be like, oh, we're just gonna do a small buff here, kind of see where this fits in, and if we do like see like little to no change, then we can like implement the other changes.
I feel like if that's the case though, you would need a spattering of different levels of player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because you wouldn't want just like legend level RTA players to go in and like test it, right? Because like I said earlier, they are like the high meta is completely different than like mid-tier or early meta. It's also different from Guild Wars at different levels, and same with Arena. So having like a good like mix of level of player and then getting all the feedback from everybody would probably be the
I do think though, so like in the very big picture, and so people have mentioned this before, but it's like if Epic 7 ever wants to be, and I'm gonna throw this word out, and I don't think this game will ever hit this point, and I don't think any mobile game or RNG based game will ever hit this point. But if they want to pursue like a more esports route with RTA, you do have to start listing more towards the top end and the top echelon of players as opposed to the middle and lower grounds, because at a certain point the other players have to understand that they're not at that level. They haven't played as long. They may not have the gear, and that's okay, right? Because these changes are effectively affecting the people that have put in thousands and thousands of dollars, have put in thousands and thousands of hours to play this game. And I think it more benefits like the long-term like competitive scene, right? Because if the game becomes too non-competitive or like too imbalanced, then you see like the shift of like these higher end players not want to play as much. Right. You see the whales like I don't want to spend money on this game anymore. It's going nowhere. Yeah. I don't want to have to fork out $700 for a Mystic Pity every time a new ML comes out. Because like at the end of the day, like they're not catering to what we're saying, right? They're not catering to like our issues. So why spend money on this game? And then it gets into the point where it's like the free to play players still aren't going to spend money, right?
So here's the flip side of that though. What do they do to get the more casual general population players to play in RTA if all they do is cater to the like top echelon of players?
I still think they can play, right? Like it's just because they're catering to the top echelon doesn't mean that they can't play RTA. And like you can still do like you said, like the meta is different, right? Like on my way up to getting into champion and legend, I can draft 5 DPS, be like, sure, gear diff, right? Like this is just straight up gear diff, and there's nothing that they can do about it, and that's fine.
It's the same as arena.
It's like it's like you have to tier yourself with where you're actually at. You cannot, like especially for RTA, you cannot punch above your weight class. You cannot fight these players who have played longer. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I think it's also you got to look at this in a different perspective, right? You're thinking, okay, this is a gacha game, and it's brand new. Like I don't think there's a gacha game that's currently very big in esport, right? Or if it exists at all. But if you got to look at it, there's a lot of funky sports out there that are actually you don't think it's possible to be competitive for regular people. If you think look at NASCAR, right? Is that a real sport? Is it a real?
Some would say yes, some would say no.
Yeah, but if you look at it, if you're free to play, can you go and race in the NASCAR?
No.
You know, you need a team behind you. You need scientists. You got a well for the car parts. You know, it's the same thing, right? That's basically a gacha game in a sense. So why can't E7 be the same, right? Like you can have these players that get sponsored by these companies. All they got to do is having the proper marketing and company willing to sponsor these players by packering them, right? You're packering players.
Yeah, pack me, baby.
Pack me, baby. Great RTA players, right? They have potential, and then you put a team behind them, and then they themselves done well, but the company behind them are willing for them and putting their accounts together. All they got to do is play RTA. Just like NASCAR, right? You need a team. Maybe it's the same thing for gacha esport.
You need a team of mechanics and scientists behind
like
your account.
Data analysts, right? And you have like companies sponsoring by packering these guys, and you have marketing team that promotes the player, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think Smallgate needs to take the initiative, though. Their last tournament that Shogun was in, huge success, right? It was great. People, there's so many viewers. It was something that was talked about a lot. It was interactive with both the viewers and the content creators. They need to do more of that, right? They got to kind of they need to be the ones to push this. And then who knows what will happen in a year. And it goes back to the whole thing we're talking about with like advertising, right? Like if they advertise as well as like in Japan, right? Yostar Games, I think, like obtained like the publishing rights for Epic 7. And they've been doing a great job. I go on the way to work, I'll see an Epic 7 ad on the train. I'll see it on the posters outside. I'll see it on TV. Like, they're doing a great job at advertising. I don't see that anywhere else. I think they can maybe, like you said, whether it's conventions, whether it's through YouTube or Facebook or whatever it may be, I think they need to look into investing into new players, right? Making it better for new players so that and here's the thing. We had huge growth. I think Epic 7, we got like 300,000 new players or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I have to look up the statistics. While like FGO got 20K. Like, that's a huge difference in downloads, right? So I think that, like, if they invest into that, and then there's an audience, that's the biggest part about esports is the audience, right? Then I think it could work. It works for Summoners Wars or Summoners War. Sorry, why can't it work for Epic 7?
I do want to comment on what someone said in chat, and I don't think the fastest way to kill a game is to cater to the top over getting 95%, because E7 as a game is quite a bit for the newer player base, right?
Yeah.
They give out so much free stuff, and they allow these new players to they jumpstart, right? Adventure's Path, I think, is a fantastic way for new players to kind of get acquainted with the game and figure out what they need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a hand-holding guide into the point of now you feel comfortable, now you kind of understand we got to do hunts, you got to do all these different aspects of the game. They give out free 5-star tickets for events,
right,
which I think is huge, right? Not many other games give out just hand out free 5-star tickets.
Yeah, usually you have to pay $15 and then it's a random chance at a...
Yeah, I was going to say, Summoners War Transcendence Scrolls are $100 for a guaranteed 5-star. And people still buy those, right? And we're getting these bigger events, these sign-in events, log in 7 days, get a free 5-star. That's pretty huge. They give us a lot of resources, right? As newer game players, and they've done a really good job at promoting this game for newer game players. And I think it's a lot easier now to get into this game and feel like you're succeeding than it was back when the game started. So now you have to think about all these new players that have progressed now to the I would say mid game, maybe even mid-late game. You're starting to see hey, now what is there to do? Because I can't quite do RTA yet. I'm still farming. It's then they're keyed into this echelon. And once they move to that in-game, they're okay, now I'm starting to see some issues with how in-game RTA works, how in-game arena works. What can we do to fix that? And then these older players, right, that have dealt with this for a long time, if there's no change, they kind of fall off. And then the new players take their spot, but then they find out and they figure out the same issues, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you start catering specifically the premium in-game content, I would say, for us in-game players as being RTA, if you start catering more of that towards those in-game players, you still have all the opportunity as an early game player to get to that point. And once you get to that point, now the in-game is catered to you. Everything is still catered to you up until that point.
It's something to look forward to as a new player, end-game RTA. The best part about Epic 7 is the PvP scene. It's why I can't play so many other gacha games. I try, right? There's plenty of games I've tried. None of them compared to the PvP scene that Epic 7 has. And I think that's something to look forward to as a new player. It's and when you're talking about new players and then catching up, and it's it's not catering towards them or whatever. Look, Lakari was able to get to I helped him a lot with it, but he's now farming Wyvern 12, Wyvern 13 in a week after starting. Right? It's not something that's impossible. Catching up, sure, is it going to be a bit hard? Yeah, definitely. But they're definitely compared to when we started or all of us started, it's much better for free-to-play players right now than before. So I think it goes either way.
Oh, it took me so long to get into Wyvern 11.
Yeah, right?
I was oh man, this dragon is killing everything. How do I get gear?
Yeah, I was real bad, and I just did Wyvern 9 for the longest time because I was just I can't even beat Wyvern 10, and then I had found out that Wyvern 11 was actually just infinitely easier, and so I made that push and then finally got in there. But it's the other thing too is as a new player now, there is a lot more information out there than when I started, because I didn't know when I started that Daydream Joker was the greatest artifact in the entire game and that I needed 6 of those. I was 3-star garbage. garbage. I didn't even know that crit damage was what made, it scaled exponentially with crit damage. So I'm running like, high attack with like some random artifact, right? So it's like there's so many more resources now because the game has
even
been
with
out.
Twitch, right? Like Shogun you stream, like Yakuza you stream. I remember when I started, I was hanging out in Sky King's chat with like 9 other people, right? That was Epic 7 in a nutshell. And like that's how like I learned, right? It was like watching Gabe stream and with like 9-10 other people. I think the biggest E7 stream at the time was probably unironically probably Damone or like Damone or like Mango. And like
I think it was like Mango was like
Mango, Damone. I remember watching, I don't know if you guys know Slice. He's a Arc Knight streamer now or Genshin streamer now, but he used to stream E7 and I would watch him stream. Like the amount of resources that we have like now to learn the game is huge. Like even with Discords, right? There's so many different Discord servers, like even the official E7 Discord server. Like, while there's some trolling, like there's some like not serious answers, like majority of the community here is willing to help you. Like, and I think that's also really huge.
Right.
I think, definitely for Discord and Twitch. Other communities, Shogun may know, are very interesting, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Look, everyone's like, oh, Reddit's toxic. No, you guys have no idea. All right,
Facebook.
There's worse communities out there. Oh, boy. When it comes to Epic 7, oh, man. But
I love the E7 community, honestly.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I love it. Oh, my God. Like, especially on Twitch. Like, chat is so, like, nice to, like, just new players in general. I remember when I first started streaming, and then, like, compared to now, like, it's gone a long way, and I haven't run into that many problems with people. Right? Like, I think, I don't know, compared to all these other games that I've played, it's definitely a very wholesome, accepting community. And, I'm looking forward to seeing it grow in 2021.
Unless you tell people that crit chance necklace is actually pretty okay. And
I don't understand. Like, mathematically, it makes sense. I don't understand how people are, like, arguing against that. Like, literally, when it comes to bottom line, mathematically,
visibly confused Shogun emote is my entire face through the vast majority of my comment section on that video. I'm like,
oh, man. That's so funny.
Hey, man.
That was a good video, though, man. That was a really good video.
Yeah. You know what the thing, too, is, like, content creator-wise, right? Going in some of the like Reddit, Facebook, stove comments, you see some people that are just kind of like, this one thing, and you're like, wait, that's wrong. I need to go do a video on this so that I can let other people know that that's a wrong thing. And then if they try to call me on it, I go, here's literally a video of me proving you wrong. So
that's smart.
Hey, the other thing too is I think that like from a content creator standpoint, a lot of people just focus on, hey, here's me PvPing, here's me doing Guild Wars, hey, here's me just doing Abyss but not really telling you much about it. So like one of the things I try to do is mechanics wise, because I think that's a big thing too for new players, and that's something that they could really fix in 2021 for new players. Is there's a lot of stuff that they don't really explain super well, but Adventurer Path does do a little bit better at that. So we've been going for almost 2 hours, which is twice as long as as I try to typically do. But hey, that's New Year's Eve special edition. But anything you guys want to say before we head on out of here? I'll start with you, Syllara.
I wish everybody a happy new year. Like a lot of us still waiting for that fireworks to hit. But cheers.
Yeah, are we taking a shot now?
Another.
Hold on.
We're gonna have to do 4 of these.
Also, as someone that's in 2021 right now, I can tell you, right? This is fact. If you're subbed to Shotgun Shogun, actually your rates are much better in Epic 7. Even if you don't have Twitch Prime right now, later on, if you get that sub and you give it to him, guaranteed. You can put me up to it. Guaranteed you'll get
guaranteed 50-50 chance. All right.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Cheers,
Happy
chat.
New Year's. Man, look at Syllara drinking that champagne, right?
Oh, I don't think the chat saw, but I'm drinking Freedom.
How is that?
Is
that good?
Pretty rough.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty rough.
Strong.
All right, Platty, what do you have to say before we head on out of here?
Yeah, everyone have a good New Year. Thank you for having us on this podcast. I had a really good time. I thought we talked about a lot of really good things. And Veritas is recruiting.
Veritas is recruiting.
Oh, okay, dude.
Life is recruiting too, I heard.
All right.
All right. Yakuza.
Much love, guys. I appreciate all of you for stopping by today. It really means a lot. Just being able to chat with not just the three of you, but chat as well. Thank you so much, Shogun, for hosting this. A lot of good topics today too. Very interesting ones. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed your stay, even if it's just for the day, man. Peace out.
Cool. And don't worry, I will have everybody's information down below. If you want to go check out Yakuza, you want to go check out Platty. I'm going to actually have Syllara's home address in case you want to just go over and hang out with Syllara.
P.O. Box?
P.O. Box. Syllara, you're going to have to PayPal too, and Vimo. But Syllara, much like Careless, much like Light, much like Vinny, you two are probably going to have to start an ASMR channel after this podcast, because that is the last 3 in a row. You can't break the streak of ASMR channels after this. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming out. And talking. It definitely was really good. Like I said, 2 hours, been going pretty good. Lots of really good topics. We got off topic a lot, but that's what podcasts are for. And yeah, to chat, and everybody who's watching this probably tomorrow when I upload this, why weren't you here live every other Thursday at 8:30 p.m. EST on twitch.com, twitch.tv/TheRealShotgunShogun. You missed out, but you're probably out doing something fun for New Year's Eve. But anyways, as always, guys, if you like the content, make sure to like, fave, subscribe, do all those things. My dog is, every time I say this line, they just think that it's time to go outside. 100%. You can hear him right there. But as always, do all those things that YouTubers tell you to do, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace.
I see you.